Worthless, shameful, a fucking joke. How could I ever marry a black woman like you?" Galvin Marvin spat the words, and then his saliva, right into Emma's face at the family dinner. Food and humiliation fused into a cruelty so sharp it cut the room silent. The chandelier light glared down, mocking her as forks froze mid-air. Victoria's lips twitched in a smug smile. Marcus looked away. And Isabella, the mistress everyone pretended was just a business partner, smoothed her hair like nothing had happened. Galvin chuckled low in his chest as Emma sat there, spit sliding down her cheek. He thought she was broken, powerless. The family thought so too. To them, she was just the Thompson girl, a decorative prop in a Versace dress she'd bought herself. What Galvin didn't know, what none of them realized, was that Emma wasn't as weak as she looked. Beneath her silence lay something they couldn't imagine. A hidden strength, a secret weapon, a force that could flip the empire they lorded over upside down. And in that moment, spit still stinging her skin, the first crack split open in Galvin's arrogance. The woman he thought he could spit on and erase was preparing a reckoning none of them would see coming. The Marvin estate sprawled across 50 acres of Connecticut prime real estate. Every marble column, every Persian rug, every piece of art screamed old money, except it was all built on a lie. Emma had been cleaning up after these dinners for 10 years now. Not literally, they had staff for that, but emotionally, spiritually, watching her dignity get chipped away like paint off a forgotten wall. "The Thompson girl still doesn't know how to hold a wine glass properly," Victoria observed from her throne-like chair. The matriarch of the Marvin dynasty wore pearls that cost more than most people's homes. 10 years, and she still looks like she wandered in from the help's quarters. Marcus Marvin, the younger brother, chuckled into his scotch. "Mother, that's unfair. She's improved. Last month she only embarrassed us twice at the Whitney Gala." The help comment wasn't random. Emma knew they knew. Her mother had cleaned houses in Westchester. Her father, but they didn't know about her father. Couldn't know. Marcus Thompson had been too smart to use his real name when he'd built half this empire from shadows. Galvin returned to his seat, wiping his mouth with a monogrammed napkin. "Isabella understands our world, don't you, darling?" Isabella Sterling touched his arm. That practiced touch, the one that said possession without words. "The Singapore merger needs someone who can navigate both boards, Eastern and Western sensibilities." Her accent was perfectly cultivated. Everything about her was perfectly cultivated, including the fake pregnancy bump under her Chanel dress. "Emma wouldn't understand international finance," Galvin continued. "She barely understands our Christmas card list." The dining room felt smaller with each word. The chandelier light seemed to dim. But Emma's fingers stayed steady on the stem of her water glass. She'd stopped drinking wine at these dinners 3 years ago. Needed to stay sharp. Needed to remember everything. "Tell me, Emma." Victoria's voice cut like crystal. "What exactly do you contribute to this family? Besides your exotic appeal for the diversity photos?" There it was. The thing they always danced around but never quite said. Emma's skin color was useful for optics, offensive to their sensibilities. A paradox they'd never resolved. "I contribute patience," Emma said quietly. The table laughed. Even the server pouring water seemed to smirk. What they didn't see, the locked drawer in Emma's study, the one with documents dating back to 1995. The real incorporation papers of Marvin Enterprises, the ones showing Marcus Thompson's $45 million investment versus Galvin Sr.'s measly $5 million, the ones with her father's real signature, before Galvin's family had him erased from history. Isabella's hand moved to her belly. "Speaking of contributions, Galvin and I have news about the future of Marvin Enterprises." Emma watched the performance, the protective hand gesture, the glowing smile, the way Galvan's chest puffed with pride at his virility. All of it built on a lie that Emma had discovered 3 weeks ago through a private investigator's lens. Isabella buying a prosthetic belly at a film prop store in Queens. 7 months from now, Galvan announced, the next generation of Marvin leadership will arrive. Finally, Victoria raised her glass. A legitimate heir. The word legitimate hung in the air like a blade. Emma stood, slowly. Every eye tracked her movement. Excuse me, I need air. She walked past the portraits of Marvin patriarchs, 3 generations of thieves in oil paintings. Her heels clicked against marble that should have borne her father's name. Behind her, she heard Galvan. Emotional. They always are. Through the window, Emma saw Hudson, the estate's eldest servant, watching from the garden. He'd been here since the beginning. He knew secrets. But like Emma, he knew the value of silence. Her phone vibrated. Brandy Williams, her father's lawyer, the only person who knew what was coming. She declined the call. Not yet. The time wasn't right, but soon, very soon. The humiliation resumed with surgical precision. Before we discuss Singapore, Galvan announced, returning to the dining room with Isabella on his arm, we need to address the elephant in the room. Emma had retaken her seat. The spit stain still glistened on her cheek. Nobody had offered her a napkin. Your wife? Marcus suggested with mock innocence. The allocation of shares, Galvan corrected. Father's will was generous to outsiders. But times change. Companies evolve. Victoria produced a folder. Legal documents, the kind that destroyed lives with sub-clauses and signatures. We're restructuring, she announced. Isabella will need a formal position befitting the mother of the heir, chief strategy officer with a 15% stake. Taken from where? Emma's voice stayed level. Your ceremonial 2%, obviously. Galvan didn't even look at her. You never attend board meetings anyway. 2%. That's what they thought she had. A pity share, a shut-up-and-smile allocation. They had no idea about the other 88% hidden behind shell companies and trusts her father had established 20 years ago. She contributes nothing. Isabella's mask slipped for just a second. She sits in that study pretending to read books she doesn't understand. Now, Victoria's tone dripped false sympathy. Emma serves a purpose. Every family needs its charity case. The room erupted in that specific laughter of the entitled, the kind that knew no consequences. Emma's fingers found her wedding ring, twisted it, the 5-carat diamond that had once meant something. Before she'd discovered Galvan in their bed with Isabella 6 months ago, before she'd hired investigators, before she'd learned exactly how deep the betrayal went. Speaking of charity, Galvan stood again, wine sloshing. Let's discuss your monthly allowance, Emma. 5,000 seems excessive for someone who contributes nothing. Make it 2,000, Isabella suggested. She can shop at Target like her mother did. Emma's mother, who'd died thinking her daughter had married up, who'd never known that the man she'd cleaned houses for, Marcus Thompson, had loved her from afar, had left everything to their daughter. You know what? Galvan's voice turned mean. The wine was working. Why maintain the fiction? Emma, you're an embarrassment. To this family, to this company, to me. He moved closer. Emma could smell the Merlot on his breath. Every time I introduce you to clients, I see their confusion. How did she land him? They wonder. And honestly, I wonder too. Divorce would be cleaner, Victoria added. We've already had papers drawn. No prenup, remember? Emma said quietly. The room went silent, then exploded. You gold-digging, Isabella started. Please! Galvan's laugh was ugly. What judge would give you anything? You versus the Marvin legal team? You'd leave with the clothes on your back. Maybe not even those. He leaned in close enough that only Emma could hear. I should have never married you. The only reason I did was because Father thought it would help with urban demographics. But you know what? We don't need those demographics anymore. Then, louder for the room. Sign the divorce papers, Emma. Take the 100,000 we're offering and disappear. It's more than you're worth. Isabella stood, her fake belly prominent. By next month, she needs to be gone. I won't have my child born into a house with that. That. Not her, just that. Emma stood. The Mont Blanc pen rolled between her fingers, the one that would soon sign very different papers. You want me gone by next month? Sooner if possible, Victoria confirmed. Emma looked at each of them, memorizing their smugness, their certainty, their cruelty. I'll need time to process this. Process? Galvan spat again, this time on the floor near her feet. You'll sign tonight or leave tonight. Choose. Hudson appeared in the doorway. Sir, there's an urgent call from the Singapore office. Galvan waved him off. Handle it. I'm busy teaching my wife her place. Emma walked toward the door. Stopped. Turned. My place? Nobody answered. They were already dismissing her. Perfect. Emma's bathroom was the only place in the mansion where she could lock the door without questions. The marble felt cold against her back as she slid down the wall. The spit had dried on her cheek, leaving a trail of shame she finally wiped away with a white silk handkerchief. Her mother's last gift. How had it come to this? 10 years ago. Different bathroom, different tears. You're Marcus Thompson's daughter. Galvan had held her face in his hands like she was precious. The investor's daughter? My father spoke of him with such respect. She'd been 22, fresh from Harvard, ready to claim her inheritance. Then she'd met Galvan at her father's funeral, the one where Marcus Thompson was eulogized under his assumed name, Marcus Chen, a silent partner nobody really knew. Your father would want you protected, Galvan had whispered. Marry me. I'll keep his legacy safe. The lies had been so beautiful then, so easy to swallow. Emma opened the medicine cabinet. Behind the aspirin, behind the sleeping pills she never took, was a photo. Her real family photo. Marcus Thompson, brilliant, black, and erased from history, standing next to her mother. Both gone now. Both betrayed by the people in the dining room below. Her phone buzzed. Brandy Williams again. This time she answered. Emma, the 5-year clause expires tomorrow. You can finally... I know. Her voice cracked. I've been counting. Your father would be proud. Playing the long game. Just like him. Marcus Thompson had built Marvin Enterprises from nothing. His algorithms, his connections, his genius. But he'd been too trusting. Let Galvan Sr. be the face while he stayed in the shadows. The papers said equal partners. The reality, Marcus owned 90%, Galvan Sr. 10%. Then came the accident. The one that wasn't an accident. They killed him, didn't they? Emma asked, though she knew the answer. We could never prove it. But yes, I believe so. The bathroom mirror reflected a woman she barely recognized. 10 years of swallowing insults had aged her. But tomorrow she'd be reborn. 3 years ago, Christmas Eve. Emma had found them first in the pool house, Galvan and Isabella. The sounds unmistakable, the betrayal complete. But what had broken her wasn't the sex. It was the conversation after. When do I get rid of her? Galvin had asked. After I'm pregnant, a real pregnancy, or one that looks real enough, then divorce her for abandonment when she inevitably breaks down. My mother's already moving the assets. Emma will get nothing. The Thompson shares? She doesn't even know they exist. Thinks her father was just Marcus Chen, a minor investor. The real Thompson shares? We've been voting them by proxy for years. That's when Emma had started recording everything. Every conversation, every meeting, every cruelty. The videos were stored in 3 separate cloud services, 2 safety deposit boxes, and Brandy's office safe. Overkill? Maybe. But her father had been murdered for these shares. She wouldn't make his mistakes. A knock on the bathroom door. "Emma?" Hudson's voice. "Mrs. Marvin requests your presence in the study." Not the dining room. The study, where business was conducted. Emma stood, fixed her face. Her mother had taught her that. How to fix your face after crying. How to make pain invisible. How to survive in houses that weren't really yours. Except this house was hers. They just didn't know it yet. She touched the photo of her parents one more time. 24 hours, Daddy. Just like you planned. The wedding ring felt heavy on her finger. She'd take it off tomorrow, after she took everything else. Downstairs, she could hear them laughing, planning her exile, calculating her worthlessness. Let them laugh. Tomorrow, Emma Thompson, not Marvin, never really Marvin, would teach them the cost of underestimating Marcus Thompson's daughter. The silk handkerchief went back in her pocket. Her mother's strength, her father's patience, both about to pay dividends that would destroy an empire built on their graves. The study reeked of conspiracy. Victoria sat behind the mahogany desk, her husband's desk, her son's desk, soon to be Isabella's desk if they had their way. Marcus lounged by the fireplace. Isabella perched on the leather couch, hand on her prosthetic belly. Galvin poured brandy like he'd already won. "Sign here." Victoria pushed documents across the desk. "Divorce papers. Generous terms, considering." Emma picked up the papers. Read slowly. Her law degree, the one they mocked her for, catching every trap. "This gives you everything. The house, the company shares, even my mother's jewelry." "Your mother's jewelry?" Isabella laughed. "You mean the cubic zirconia she probably stole?" Emma's mother had sold her real jewelry to pay for Emma's college when the scholarship fell through. But they didn't need to know that. "There's also this." Galvin produced another document. "Abdication of any claim to Marvin Enterprises. Sign it and we'll make the divorce quick. Fight us." He shrugged. "We'll destroy you publicly." "With what?" Emma kept her voice steady. "How about the affairs?" Isabella stood, her fake pregnancy perfectly positioned for sympathy. "Yes, affairs. Plural. We have witnesses who'll swear you've been sleeping around." "Witnesses you paid?" "Prove it." Victoria challenged. "Your word against the Marvin family. Who wins that fight?" Emma set down the papers, walked to the window. Outside, she could see Hudson in the garden, pretending to trim hedges. He'd been recording everything on the phone she'd given him, just in case. "I need to understand something," Emma said. "This is just business? Or is it personal?" "Both," Galvin answered immediately. "You were supposed to be temporary. A checkbox for diversity. But you got comfortable. Started thinking you belonged." "She never belonged." Marcus finally spoke. He'd been quieter lately, maybe because he was also sleeping with Isabella, a fact Emma had discovered through the security cameras they didn't know she could access. Yes, both brothers sharing the same woman, and Isabella playing them both. "You want to know what's pathetic?" Isabella moved closer. "You actually loved him. I saw your face that first year, like a little girl with her prince. While you were what? Scheming to steal him?" "Steal?" Isabella's mask slipped again. You can't steal what was never yours. Tell me about Singapore, Emma said suddenly. The room tensed. What about Singapore? Victoria's voice turned sharp. The merger. The one that needs Eastern and Western sensibilities. The one worth 300 million. How do you... I read, remember? All those books you think I don't understand. Emma turned from the window. The merger requires board approval. Unanimous board approval. You have 2%. Galvin reminded her. Your vote doesn't matter. Actually, about those percentages. Emma pulled out her phone. Isabella, when exactly did you get pregnant? What? Simple question. When? 7 months ago. August? Interesting. Because you were in Miami in August. With Marcus. Marcus went pale. Galvin's head snapped toward his brother. She's lying, Isabella said quickly. Emma pulled up a photo. Isabella and Marcus on a yacht. Very close. Very intimate. The Marina Bay Club has excellent security cameras. That's not... We were discussing... And this? Another photo. Isabella entering a fertility clinic. Hard to get pregnant when you're getting treated for endometriosis-related infertility. The fake belly suddenly seemed obvious. You lying... Galvin turned on Isabella. She's manipulating you? Isabella's voice went shrill. These are doctored. Like the pregnancy? Emma asked quietly. Victoria stood, walked to Isabella. Without warning, she pressed hard on the belly. It shifted. You stupid girl. Victoria hissed. You wore a prosthetic to my home? Galvin, I can explain. But Galvin was looking at Marcus. Miami. You were with her in Miami. It wasn't... Galvin's fist connected with Marcus's jaw. Marcus went down hard, blood spurting from his nose onto the Persian rug. Stop! Isabella tried to separate them. This is what she wants. She was right. This was exactly what Emma wanted. Chaos, distraction, the empire eating itself. Her phone buzzed. A message from Brandy. Documents ready. Board meeting tomorrow, 9 Emma. While you sort this out, Emma said, moving toward the door. I'll be in my study. You're not going anywhere. Galvin abandoned his brother, grabbed Emma's arm. Sign the papers. No. His grip tightened. Sign them or I'll... You'll what? Hit me? Like you hit Marcus? Emma looked him in the eye. Go ahead. Hudson's been recording everything. Galvin released her, spinning toward the window. Hudson waved. You've been planning this? Victoria breathed. Planning what? Protecting myself from a family that wants to destroy me? Emma straightened her dress. The board meeting is tomorrow. I'll see you all there. You're not on the board. Isabella said desperately. No, but Thompson Holdings is. My father's company. The one you've been voting by proxy illegally for 5 years. The room went silent. What did you call me earlier? An elephant in the room? Emma opened the door. Tomorrow you'll learn that elephants never forget. She walked out, leaving them to their chaos. Behind her, she heard Victoria's voice, cold and sharp. Isabella, get out of my house. But the baby. What baby? The sound of Isabella's heels running, Galvin and Marcus still fighting, Victoria screaming about lawyers. Emma climbed the stairs to her study. 24 hours ago, she'd been nothing to them. Tomorrow, she'd own everything. Her phone rang. Brandy again. Did you get them fighting? They're destroying each other as we speak. Your father would be proud. Divide and conquer. Emma touched the Mont Blanc pen in her pocket. Tomorrow, it would sign the papers that changed everything. He'd be prouder if he were alive. Then make them pay for that, too. She would. Oh, she would. Downstairs, something shattered. Expensive crystal by the sound. Let them destroy the house. Tomorrow it would be hers anyway. Emma's study had been her sanctuary for 10 years. They'd never bothered to search it. Why would they? She was just the trophy wife who read books she didn't understand. The lock clicked behind her. 3 deadbolts, military grade, installed secretly 5 years ago. She moved to the bookshelf. Behind the complete works of James Baldwin, another black genius erased from convenient histories, was a safe. Her father's birthday, her mother's death date, the combination they'd never guess. Inside, everything. The original incorporation documents of Marvin Enterprises, dated March 15, 1995, Marcus Thompson's signature bold and clear, his $45 million investment detailed in Appendix A. Galvin Sr.'s $5 million listed like an afterthought in Appendix B, but that wasn't the smoking gun. The smoking gun was the recording from December 10, 2019, Galvin Sr.'s deathbed confession, thinking he was alone with his lawyer, not knowing Emma had placed a recorder under his hospital bed. She pressed play. "Harold, I need to confess something, before I meet my maker." "Galvin, you should rest. Marcus Thompson. We killed him. Cut the brake lines, made it look like an accident." "Galvin, please." $45 million. He gave us $45 million and we gave him death. His daughter, she doesn't know, thinks her father was some minor investor. We vote his shares. Been stealing from a dead man for 20 years. This recording, destroy it. Never happened. But God knows what we did to that brilliant man. The confession went on for 12 minutes. Names, dates, details. Enough to reopen a murder investigation. Enough to destroy everything. But Emma had something even better. She pulled out the second document, the one Brandy Williams had been protecting for 2 decades. Marcus Thompson's real will. Not the forgery Galvin Sr. had filed. The real one, notarized and witnessed by 3 federal judges who owed Marcus favors. Everything to his daughter. Not 2%, not 10%, 90% of Marvin Enterprises. The door rattled. Someone trying to get in. "Emma!" Galvin's voice. Drunk. Angry. "Open this door!" She didn't respond. Instead, she opened her laptop. 3 clicks, and every document was uploaded to the cloud. Another click, and Brandy had copies. One more, and the FBI's Financial Crimes Division had an anonymous tip. The door shook harder. He was throwing his shoulder against it. Emma pulled out the 3rd piece of evidence. Isabella's medical records. Legally obtained. Isabella had signed a release for the family's insurance policy, not reading the fine print. Complete hysterectomy at age 18 after a car accident. Physically impossible to carry a child. But there was more. Isabella Sterling wasn't even her real name. She was Isabella Chen, daughter of Richard Chen, the man Galvin Sr. had destroyed in a hostile takeover in 2009. The same year Richard Chen had committed suicide. The same year his daughter had disappeared, only to return as Isabella Sterling with a new face, new name, and a plan for revenge. Emma almost respected it. Almost. The door cracked. Galvin had found an axe. Time to make the call. "Brandy, file everything with the court. Now." "The murder evidence too?" "Everything. Emma, once this starts, it should have started 20 years ago." The axe bit through the door. Galvin's face appeared in the gap, twisted with rage. "You bitch! What are you doing?" Emma held up the phone, showed him the screen. "Sending the board of directors some interesting reading material." "You can't." "Done." She hit send. "They'll have questions at tomorrow's meeting." "There won't be a meeting. You're nobody. You're nothing." Emma stood, walked to the door. Through the crack, she could see him clearly. The man she'd once loved. The man who'd spat on her 4 hours ago. "Galvin?" That prenup you mentioned. We never had one because your father insisted. Said it would look bad if his son didn't trust his wife. Ironic, isn't it? I'll kill you. Like we killed. He stopped. Realized what he'd almost said. Emma smiled. Held up her phone. Recording everything. Like you killed who, Galvin? He backed away from the door. That's what I thought. Emma returned to her desk. See you at tomorrow's board meeting. Oh, and Galvin, you might want to check your email. Why? The FBI tends to move fast on murder confessions. The silence that followed was beautiful. The boardroom had never seen Emma Thompson Marvin in anything but submissive silence. Today she wore her father's favorite color, royal purple, in a suit that cost more than Galvin's monthly salary. The Mont Blanc pen clicked against her wedding ring as she took the seat at the head of the table. That's my chair, Galvin said. His face was haggard. The FBI had kept him until 4 a.m. No, it's not. Emma opened her briefcase. The sound echoed. 12 board members sat frozen. They'd all received the documents at midnight. They all knew what was coming. Victoria entered, saw Emma's position, and actually laughed. Security! I called them off, said Harrison Webb, the lead board member. Ms. Thompson has the floor. Thompson? Galvin spat. Her name is Marvin. No. Emma stood. The projector flickered to life behind her. My name is Emma Thompson, daughter of Marcus Thompson, your actual founder. The first slide appeared. The incorporation documents. 1990, Marcus Thompson invests $45 million. Galvin Sr. invests $5, yet somehow the Marvins own 98% of the company? Those documents are forged, Victoria shrieked. Then why do they match the SEC filings from 1995? Emma clicked. More documents. Why do they match the bank records? Why do they match your own lawyer's notes? Harold Steinberg, the family lawyer, stood to leave. Sit down, Harold. Emma's voice could have cut glass. You're named in the murder confession. The room erupted. Murder? Board members pushed back from the table. My father, Marcus Thompson, killed in 2000. Brake lines cut. Another click. Galvin Sr.'s voice filled the room, his deathbed confession playing for everyone to hear. Galvin went white. That's illegal. You can't. Actually, I can. Massachusetts is a one-party consent state. Your father consented to being recorded when he signed the hospital admission forms. Emma had done her homework. 5 years of homework. This is insane! Isabella burst through the door. No fake belly now, just desperation. She's destroying everything with lies. Isabella Chen. Emma turned to her. Daughter of Richard Chen. Here for revenge. Just like me. Isabella stopped. How? You think you were the only one who could plan? Emma clicked again. Medical records. You can't have children. Never could. The pregnancy was fake, just like your name, just like your accent, just like everything about you. Marcus Marvin, sporting a black eye from yesterday's fight, tried to speak. The Singapore merger is cancelled. Emma pulled out a letter. I contacted them this morning as the majority shareholder. They're disgusted by the fraud. You don't have majority. I own 90%. Emma laid out the will. The real will. My father left me everything. You've been stealing from me for 20 years. The board members were standing now, backing away from the Marvins like they were contagious. This won't hold up in court. Galvin pulled out his phone. I'm calling our lawyers. Branson, Ketch, and Associates? Emma asked. They dropped you this morning. Something about not representing murderers. Victoria grabbed the table for support. 20 years of crime crashing down in 20 minutes. Emma walked to Galvin, close enough to smell his fear. You spat on me yesterday, called me nothing, said I contributed nothing. She removed her wedding ring. let it fall onto the table. The diamond cracked against the wood. You were right about one thing. I contributed patience. 20 years of it, my father's patience, my mother's patience, the patience of everyone you've stepped on. Emma, please. Galvin's voice broke. Ms. Thompson. Harrison Webb stood. The board recognizes your ownership. What are your instructions? Emma returned to the head of the table. Her father's seat. Her seat. First, Galvin Marvin is terminated. Effective immediately. You can't. Security. Emma didn't raise her voice. Didn't need to. 2 guards entered. Real security. Not the ones Galvin had bought. Second, Victoria Marvin and Marcus Marvin are removed from the board. This is our company! Victoria screamed. No! It's my father's company. And now it's mine. Third, Emma continued, looking at Isabella. Ms. Chen is trespassed from all Marvin properties. Though I suppose we'll need to change that name. Thompson Enterprises has a nice ring to it. Isabella turned to run. The FBI agents were waiting in the hallway. You called them? Galvin was being dragged toward the door. No. They were already coming. Murder confessions tend to get their attention. As the guards pulled him past, Galvin made one last attempt. I loved you once. Emma looked at him. Really looked at him. The man who'd destroyed her father, humiliated her mother's memory, spat on her face. No, you loved owning me. There's a difference. The door closed. The boardroom was silent. Emma sat. CEO of Thompson Enterprises. Now, let's discuss the real Singapore merger. The transfer of power took exactly 6 hours. Emma sat in what used to be Galvin's office, while lawyers, accountants, and federal agents streamed through Thompson Enterprises. She'd already changed the building's lobby signs. Mrs. Marvin. Harold Steinberg started. Ms. Thompson, and you're fired, Harold. Your replacement from Morrison Legal is already here. Brandy Williams entered with a team of attorneys. 20 years of preparation distilled into precise legal violence. First order of business, Brandy announced. Asset recovery. Emma signed 17 documents in rapid succession with her father's Mont Blanc. Each signature reclaimed something stolen. The house, the cars, the art collection, the offshore accounts Victoria thought were hidden. Second, the criminal proceedings. FBI Special Agent Sarah Chen, no relation to Isabella, laid out photographs. We've arrested Galvin and Victoria Marvin on conspiracy to commit murder. Marcus Marvin is cooperating, claims he didn't know about his father's crimes. He knew, Emma said simply. But he was 12 when my father died. I won't pursue him if he returns everything and disappears. Generous? Strategic. I want this cleaned up fast. Hudson entered, carrying coffee. Emma had promoted him to executive assistant. 60-year-old man who'd been treated like furniture for 3 decades now had a corner office and stock options. The staff meeting is in an hour, he informed her. Thank you, Hudson. He smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him in 10 years. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. The 3rd hour brought surprises. Emma? A woman's voice from the doorway. Margaret Sullivan, the CFO who'd always been coldly professional, stood nervously with a box of documents. I've been keeping records. Everything they did, every crime. I was too scared to come forward, but... She placed the box on Emma's desk. Your father hired me. He was a good man. This is my resignation and my evidence. I'm not accepting your resignation. Emma opened the box. 20 years of meticulous records. I'm promoting you. Chief Operating Officer. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. I watched them spit on you yesterday. I should have. You couldn't have. But you can help me now. The 4th hour was for justice. Emma stood before 200 employees in the main conference hall. Many had worked for her father. All had suffered under the Marvins. "I know you're scared," she began. "Change is frightening. The Marvins ran this company through fear, but I am not them." She clicked her presentation remote. "Effective immediately. Minimum wage increases to $25 hourly. Full health care reinstated. The pension fund they raided? I'm refilling it with my personal funds. The 60 people they laid off last Christmas to boost bonuses? If they want to return, they have jobs." The room stayed silent. Shocked. "I know some of you participated in the family's cruelty because you had to survive. I understand. Clean slate starting now. But if anyone continues their behavior, you're gone." And hand raised. Timothy from accounting, who'd once accidentally spilled coffee on her dress. "Why should we trust you?" Emma looked at him directly. "Because I sat where you sit. Powerless. Humiliated. Afraid. I know what it's like to have someone's boot on your neck." She paused. "I'm removing the boot." The fifth hour brought unexpected allies. 3 board members who'd been silent during the Marvin reign approached. "We have evidence too," said Patricia Wong. "Galvin's insider trading, Victoria's tax evasion. We were building a case, but we didn't have enough power to act. Now you do." Emma replied. "Work with the FBI. Clean house completely." The 6th hour was personal. Isabella Chen sat in federal custody, but she'd sent a message through her lawyer. "She wants to talk," Agent Chen informed Emma. "Says she has information about other crimes." Emma considered. Isabella was a victim too, in her way. Her father destroyed by the Marvins, just like Emma's. "Tell her this. Cooperate fully, testify against them, and I won't pursue civil charges. She'll do time for fraud, but I won't take everything she has left." That's generous, considering. Her father was destroyed by the same people who killed mine. I understand revenge, but I also understand when to stop. As the sun set, Emma stood in her father's office, now truly hers. The portrait of Galvin Sr. had been removed. Tomorrow, her father's picture would hang there. Marcus Thompson would finally be recognized. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus Marvin. "I'm leaving the country. The house deed and my shares are signed over. I'm sorry for everything." She didn't respond. Some apologies were too small for the harm done. Hudson knocked. "Miss Thompson, there's a Michelle Rodriguez here. Says she was your mother's friend." Emma's breath caught. She hadn't seen Michelle in 15 years. "Send her in." Michelle entered, older but still elegant. "Emma, baby, I've been watching, waiting. Your mother would be so proud." She pulled out an envelope. "She left this for you, for when you finally stood up to them." Inside, her mother's handwriting. "My darling girl, they will try to break you. Don't let them. You have your father's mind and my spirit. That's all you need." Emma's carefully maintained composure finally cracked. Tears fell onto her mother's letter. "It's over, Mom," she whispered. The collapse of the Marvin dynasty made headlines for weeks. "Murder, fraud, and spit. The Marvin scandal," ran the Wall Street Journal. Emma declined all interviews. The work spoke for itself. In federal prison, Galvin learned what powerlessness really meant. Orange jumpsuit replacing Armani, plastic spoon replacing silver. His cellmate, a fraud conviction lifer named Big Tom, found his story particularly amusing. "You spat on your wife, the one who owned everything." Big Tom laughed until he wheezed. "Man, you're dumber than you look." Galvin's lawyer had abandoned him after the retainer ran out. The public defender, fresh from law school, looked terrified. 25 to life." She stammered. "That's the best deal they're offering." 25 years? "For conspiracy to commit murder? You're lucky it's not life without parole." Victoria's fall was quieter but deeper. The estate auction drew crowds. Every painting, every jewel, every piece of furniture she'd lorded over others, gone. She stood in the marble foyer watching strangers bid on her life. "Lot 47, the auctioneer called. Victorian pearl necklace, apparently worn by a murderer's wife." The necklace sold for 1/10 its value. Nobody wanted to wear a killer's jewels. Hudson supervised the removal. He'd bought Galvin Sr.'s desk for $50, not because he wanted it, but because he wanted Victoria to watch him own it. "Mrs. Marvin," he said, not unkindly, "you have 1 hour to vacate." "Where will I go?" "I believe the federal marshals have arranged accommodations." She laughed bitterly. "Prison, you mean?" "Yes, ma'am. Prison." Her lawyer had negotiated 15 years for accessory to murder and tax evasion. At 73, it was effectively a life sentence. Marcus Marvin sat in a Buenos Aires cafe, reading the news on his phone. His cooperation had earned him immunity, but not forgiveness. Not from Emma. Not from anyone. His wife had taken the children and returned to her family in Connecticut. The divorce papers cited moral bankruptcy as the cause. She wasn't wrong. He'd wired back the $30 million he'd hidden. Every penny. It wasn't enough to buy redemption, but maybe it was enough to avoid extradition. The coffee was bitter. Everything tasted bitter now. Isabella's story ended in the strangest place. A courtroom where she was both defendant and witness. "State your legal name," the prosecutor demanded. "Isabella Chen, formerly Sterling. And you committed fraud to destroy the Marvin family." "Yes." "Why?" Isabella looked at Emma, sitting in the gallery. 2 daughters of murdered fathers. 2 paths of revenge. Only one of them had won. "They killed my father, drove him to suicide. I wanted them to feel that pain." "So you faked a pregnancy?" "Among other things." The fake pregnancy alone was worth 5 years. The fraud added 7 more. But her testimony against Galvin and Victoria would reduce it to 3. 3 years to think about how revenge had consumed her life, how she'd become as cruel as the people she'd hated. The security footage of Galvin spitting on Emma played in every courtroom. Every jury saw it. The image became iconic, the moment of ultimate disrespect before ultimate justice. But it was the financial collapse that truly finished them. Thompson Enterprises' stock soared under Emma's leadership. Every dollar the Marvins had stolen was being recovered through civil suits. Their hidden accounts in Switzerland, the Caymans, Singapore, all frozen and seized. Galvin's prison account showed a balance of $3.47. He couldn't even afford coffee from the commissary. Victoria's friends, society women who'd laughed at Emma for years, disappeared entirely. Not one visited. Not one wrote. She sat in her cell reading rejection letters from publishers who didn't want her prison memoir. The final humiliation came from an unexpected source. The Maryland Genealogy Society published their findings. Galvin Sr. had lied about everything. He wasn't from old money. His father had been a con man. A grifter. The entire Marvin lineage was built on lies. Meanwhile, they'd verified Marcus Thompson's heritage, descended from Frederick Douglass through his mother's line. American royalty, if such a thing existed. Emma read the report in her office. The irony was perfect. They'd thought her beneath them, but her blood carried more history, more honor, more achievement than theirs ever could. Her phone rang. The federal prosecutor. "Galvin wants to make a deal. Full confession for reduced sentence." "No deals," Emma said simply. "He made his choice when he spat." Some stains couldn't be washed clean. Some falls couldn't be stopped. 1 year later, Thompson Enterprises towered over the city, literally. Emma had added 10 floors to the building and put her father's name in lights that could be seen for miles. The dedication ceremony was simple. No fancy speeches, just truth. Marcus Thompson built this company with genius and $45 million, Emma told the small crowd of employees and reporters. He was murdered for it. Today we restore his name. The curtain dropped. A bronze statue of her father stood in the lobby, with an inscription, "Brilliance cannot be buried." Hudson, now chief of staff, handed her the scissors for the ribbon. His hands were steady. His suit was custom. His granddaughter had just been accepted to Harvard on the Thompson Scholarship, full ride for children of employees. "Your father would be proud," he said quietly. "He'd be prouder of what comes next." The Thompson Foundation was already operating in 7 cities. Free legal aid for families fighting corporate abuse. Every Marvin victim had been compensated. Every fired employee rehired with back pay. Emma's office, top floor, corner view, held only 3 photos. Her parents on their wedding day. Her father holding infant Emma. Her mother's last birthday. The Mont Blanc pen sat in a place of honor, still used for every major signature. Her wedding ring had been melted down, the gold donated to charity. The diamonds had been sold, funding a shelter for domestic abuse survivors. Galvin had written from prison. 7 pages of apology. She'd returned it unopened with 2 words. Too late. The world had watched the Marvin collapse and learned something valuable. Patient justice hits harder than quick revenge. Michelle Rodriguez, now on the board, raised a toast at the reception. "To the quiet ones who keep receipts." Emma smiled, thinking of everyone sitting silent in bad marriages, toxic families, abusive workplaces. "Sometimes," she said to the crowd, "the best revenge is patience. Document everything. Build your case. Wait for your moment. And when it comes..." She raised her glass. "Don't hesitate. Are you enduring in silence? Remember, your moment will come. Be ready."